Welcome to Justice Now. You're part of the workplace mobbing series that you're watching, and this is part 17 that piggybacks off of the social exclusion in the workplace, and that is double standards. So what happens once the target realizes that they've been socially excluded, and the target's not going to readily recognize this. By the time usually targets recognize that they're being excluded, it would have already been too late, because the perpetrators have done a preemptive attack, essentially. They do so verbally with gossiping, innuendos, manipulation of others. And another way that they socially exclude you and isolate you is through nonverbals, such as stares. At least 37% of communication is through nonverbals. Only 7% is through verbals. So what perpetrators may be doing is they would stare at you and then getting others to stare at you as well. And then, of course, the natural follow-up is to then find out from the person who's staring, why are you staring at this person, or why are you staring at the target? And then it gives opportunity for the perpetrators to then spread their lies and spread gossip about you. Another thing is you can be doing the most normal things, such as wiping a table, sitting at your cubicle, working at your workstation, and the perpetrators will be giving this very weird look as if you're doing something wrong. It often is like they make it into like a puzzled look, as if you're not to be wiping the table even though everybody else wipes the table, or as if you're not supposed to be sitting at a cubicle when everybody else sits at a cubicle. I know in my situation, you're able to sit anywhere that you would like because most of the desks are drop down. And they would give each other looks when I moved to another desk, as if it's something that I shouldn't be doing. Meanwhile, when they move to another desk, nobody's looking at them, no one's making commentary on them moving their seat because they recognize it's drop down. Again, it's quite insidious how they do this. So in doing this, it labels the target as if whatever the target does is incorrect. That everybody else can do what they can do, that everybody else can go through moving seats if they want to, or work the way that they're supposed to, but you working the way that you're supposed to, which is the same as whatever they're doing, is wrong. That's what it creates. It creates this caste system. The caste is there, and it's two tiers. There's those who can do what they're allowed to do, even down to policies and procedures, except you. What they'll do is they'll make jokes And they'll do this in front of the group. So they're teaching the group of how to treat you. And then other people who are also toxic take it and run with it. This is their opportunity to also behave badly of their choosing, and this is their opportunity. You've been the chosen target. They're going to dump it all on you. Even if you've not really dealt with them, or the only times you've dealt with them, they present it as amicable relations. Nothing that would cause this type of reaction. That's part of the workplace mobbing, is the social exclusion and the double standards. So as a result, you'll find that you'll be judged much more harshly than your colleagues for doing the same thing. Whereas your colleagues are not even, not even getting the same type of treatment. So it eliminates due process. So that's something to watch out for. When you encounter this, definitely document the instances where other colleagues are doing the exact same thing and there is no incident, but you're doing the same and it's being demeaned and relabeled as something wrong. The other thing you can also do is occasionally give them the same looks back. And document. I mean, it's really hard to tell a target how to avoid being attacked, because often the target doesn't know that they're being attacked until it's too late. Or often they don't know that strategies have been put into place until it's too late. So this is what happens. There's it's a completely different standard. I know in my situation, as I've mentioned before, just getting up from one desk to another, which any employee was allowed to do, but I was demonized by the perpetrators for doing so. Not because I'm introverted, not because there's a personality clash, because I hardly spoke to them to even have such a personality clash. But just because this is what they chose to do. They chose to attack me for whatever sick reasons they had. And sick, not as in they didn't have control, they had full control. They just wanted to torture somebody. And this is in a helping profession that consists of psychologists and social workers. And those within the helping professional spectrum, all in between. And this is where you're getting this type of behavior. So be aware of that. If you're noticing the double standards and you're jotting them down, then you bring them up at a team meeting. You bring those double standards up. I remember I had brought up the double standards of How is it that when other people are seated, it is not an issue, but when I move my seating, it's an issue? At the time, the manager told the team that people are allowed to sit anywhere they want, and that helped squash it. Mind you, it started up again many months later when those who were associated with the perpetrators started asking me the same questions. Why did you move here? Why did you move there? It's drop down. But that's also another way to let you know that you don't have a place there. By constantly asking you, why did you move here? Why are you seated here? Why are you seated here? That's to, again, make you feel so uncomfortable and to convey the message that you do not belong here. If you're at a workstation where you do not have the opportunity to move, it makes it a little harder, because then you have to stay among those people, unfortunately. In that regard, you reduce your level of contact with them, keep focus on your work, keep conversations to work only, protect yourself that way. You have to protect yourself. And when you're noticing that there is a difference in how you're being treated versus how others are being treated doing the same thing, speak up. Now, unfortunately, you can't be fighting all the time regarding this, because of the fact that, again, their whole purpose is to make you look like the problematic person, and then use it as justification for you to be fired or to continue increase in isolation tactics. Um, so again, this is where I strongly recommend exit strategy. Find an exit strategy. You do not need to be in that type of environment. And when you're noticing that you're getting disciplined far differently than others, then bring up the fact that, you're entitled to due process, and expect it. Set your boundaries and expect due process. I hope this was helpful, and stay tuned for other videos on workplace mobbing series.